Hello everyone, welcome to Yarkshire Gamer, and it's yet another Troops on Parade feature. And this month, we're going to look at the World War I Mesopotamia collection. This is the British and Empire troops. Turkish troops are separate. I'll do that on a separate post. Now, normally this time of year, Christmas, we set up a big World War I Mesopotamia game using the rules If the Lord Spares Us from Two Fat Lardies. Great set of rules, and a bit different from the normal fare. We use them for, as you can see from the size of this force, we use them for pretty big battles, whereas Two Fat Lardies normally 60, 80, 100 figures aside, whereas here you're looking at the neck end of 1,000 figures. We have been following the Mesopotamia campaign each year, doing a game or maybe two games, and we have just done the siege of Hut, and we are now refighting the battles where the British force, British and Empire force, tried to relieve the siege of Kurt, but obviously with lockdown we're not able to do that. So with the table free, I thought it would be a good opportunity to get these figures out on the table and do a Troops on Parade feature. So as you can see, we've got quite a few, and just looking at, we've got 4 units of cavalry, and they got 2 24 figure units and 2 12 figure units, and then I'm just going to count them up: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 battalions of infantry. All of those are 34 figures strong, apart from one, which is 38 figures strong, 40 figures strong, slightly larger. And we'll get down and we'll move the camera and have a look at some of the individual units. So we'll start off with the cavalry. This is the first unit, 28mm Great War miniatures, and they've had head conversions, the vast majority of them, using the Gripping Beast Woodbine design figures. Wolseley hat. 24 figures in the unit. Really happy with this particular unit. Took a long time, a lot of motivation to try and get it done, because it wasn't straightforward. The Great War miniatures figures are based, single piece castings, which doesn't really fit in with my painting style. So it took a while because I had to do the horses in oils and then paint the figures with a white white undercoat, which is really not my favourite scene. 24 figures in the unit. There are regimental colours, which I know weren't carried in the field, but I'll just put them on because I think it gives it a lot more colour. I'm going to at least get another one, maybe 2 British cavalry units. It's just the chew on of doing the head swaps that stops me from doing it straight away. So that's the British cavalry. Next up, unit of Indian Lancers, Indian cavalry. These are from New Line Designs, and they're actually sold as Bengal Lancers for a slightly earlier period, but because they've got the 1903 bandolier on them, they fit in perfectly well for World War I. So very happy with these. I've been looking around, if you follow the blog, for some time for some decent Indian cavalry, and when these came out of the box I wasn't sure, the proportions didn't look particularly right, but now they're painted up and done, I think they're lovely. I've not been able to find any pictures of Indian cavalry in World War I with lance pennants, which would have really made the unit pop a little bit more, but sometimes you go with history rather than artistic license. So there we go, Indian Lancers. Next up is for a unit of Arab Irregular Cavalry, very similar. Could be used for both sides really. They look a lot like the units that were in Lawrence of Arabia, and the flag very much fits that Arab Revolt, 1917, brains gone. Really nice figures, again, 12 figure unit. I'm going to probably build that up, make it a little bit bigger, but that's the Arab cavalry. And then finally with the cavalry units, apologies for shaky cam, it's a camel unit again from Artisan, and a couple of Lawrence of Arabia guys there painted in different styles, but 10 figure unit there. Sorry, I thought it was 12, but the £9 for two, so there might be even more than that, but they're quite expensive, which is why we haven't done too many of them. So that's the cavalry. I've not done much cavalry so far. It's certainly my intention to build a lot more over the coming months, and certainly double it by this time next year. Move on now to the infantry units, and these are all based up with 4 companies with mostly 8 figures. One's got 10, a couple of command figures, and then a separately based machine gun. And the machine guns could be used either as a machine gun battalion or individually attached to the units. So I've done each of the machine gun bases as specific for one of the battalions, and these are set up in brigades. We've got 4 brigades, 2 with 4 battalions in, 1 with 3, and then 1 with 2, which is one I'm going to build up to full size in due course. So we'll just drop the camera down to ground level, have a look at some of the individual figures and units, and see what we can find. Just starting at the front of the 1st Brigade, these are signal bases which form quite an integral part of the rule set, and you can just use meeples, or as I've done, Great War Miniatures sell a set of signalling bases, and I've used those to paint up the Western, for more Western Front than Mesopotamia, but the devil's driving, so we're choosing, and I think they look really good when we use them as signal bases. And this is my famous piece. This one's got the Yarkshire Tea box on, and this was featured by Yorkshire Tea in one of their adverts online once, which is a bit of a weird claim to fame, but there we go. So that's the signalling base in front of the 1st Brigade. Behind that is the largest unit. This is the first unit I did for the Mesopotamia collection, and I wasn't sure on unit size at that particular point, and I went for 10 figures per company with this unit, 2 figure command and 4 10-figure companies, all gripping beast woodbine design figures with the Wolseley hat, and although you can't see the unit flashes on the side of the helmet from this side, it's based on one of the Cheshire battalions. I think it was the 1st Battalion of the 6th that went to Mesopotamia, and they've seen action in every single game that we've done. Behind the Cheshires are a unit of Royal Naval Detachment. These were painted up for our Gallipoli game, and as far as I'm aware, none of them went to Mesopotamia, but it just gets used as a stock British battalion for our games in that theatre. Lovely figures those. I love the hats and faces on those. Very, very nice. Then looking towards the back, the 3rd unit in this brigade is one of Gurkhas. Lovely figures again from Woodbine Design. Specifically, a lot of them have head swaps, but the Gurkhas come with fixed heads, and I've done them in a slightly lighter shade of khaki stroke desert yellow, and excellent looking unit. And then in the background on that one, we can see, apologies for shaky cam, we can see an Indian battalion. That's a Sikh Indian battalion, and relatively new those into the unit. I realised a bit ago that I was a bit short on Indian units, so I've picked up quite a few recently and added to them to the collection. So that's Brigade number 1. Just looking at the front of the next brigade now, and this is one of the higher command units. Higher command units have 4 figures rather than 2, and these are just made up of a mixture of various figures from, I think one of them, the one on the right, is a free figure from Partisan some time ago, a couple of Australian figures in there, and that's a build-up of a brigade HQ, and then the apologies for shaky cam, and there's the signal bases for this next unit. Oh, good old Speckled Jim, the pigeon, and his mate there writing some notes down to go off with the pigeon when he moves. So first unit, 2nd Brigade, is a Highland unit. These are painted with standard government tartan kilts, which would make them Black Watch. This unit is made up of a number of 2 different figure manufacturers. It comes from Empress Miniatures, from their Jazz Age Imperialism range. They do a set of Highlanders, and also minifigs, would you believe. They do an Easter Blaze range, which has some Highlander figures in, and very nicely added to. Slightly bigger than the Empress, but they're mixing well enough. And again, 4 figures, 8 figures per company. Carrying on from the Highlanders is another Indian unit. This one is a Hindu unit. Different regions, different religions, different areas had different styles of turban, and there's pieces you can find on the internet about it everywhere. And Gripping Beast do a couple of different versions, a Sikh version and this one, the Hindu version, and that's this particular type. Again, this was one of the recent units that I got to build up my Indian forces. Unit 3 on this brigade is a bit of a mixed match. There's loads of different stuff in there, and it was built from a load of figures that I had left over from other battalions that I built up. And this was, I made this for the Siege of Kut, this particular unit, and it's designed to be the battalion of Oxbucks that ended up in that unit, that had gone all the way, that ended up in Kut in the siege, and had gone all the way from the initial fighting at Basra all the way up the Tigris to Kut, and ended up at Ctesiphon just before the gates of Baghdad, and back down the river to be besieged. So I've done them in a very irregular way. I've got lots of different hat types, I've got lots of bare heads, I've got lots of uniform changes, just to sort of reflect the fact that they've been on campaign for quite a long time and have seen quite a lot of action. And then just in the background there you can see another Indian unit, that's another Sikh unit, and just to round off that brigade of 4 infantry battalions. 3rd Brigade is an Australian brigade, or Anzac Brigade, and was built up for Gallipoli, which we played a few years ago, and occasionally gets chucked in and used as British battalions in the games that we play. And when we come to do Palestine and stuff later on, these can be used as dismounted Australian light horse, etc. This is the command for that brigade, 4 figures from the various Australian command sets that we have, and then just a bit of shaky cam to go along to the signal bases for this division, again from the Great War Miniatures range, and they really are lovely, these signals. I might buy another pack of them just because they're so nice. And then the units themselves I'll come back to in just a second. There we go, all 3 units together. Do apologise if you've got a bit of dog barking in the background. I've got 2 neighbours who've both got pretty annoying yapping dogs. If you're going to buy a dog, buy a big dog that barks, not one that sounds like a goldfish with a phlegm problem. Anyway, so there we go. We've got 3 units there of Australians, 8 figures per company, 4 companies per battalion, and they make a full brigade. I'm not sure, I might add another Australian brigade to that, or I might add another Indian unit just to make it up to 4 figures to the brigade. There's some Arabs lurking at the back, and like they always do, and we'll go and have a look at those separately. Just in the distance there, we've got some Arab irregular troops. I'm sure I've got more than that somewhere. I'm going to have to dig through some boxes and try and find them. But they are figures from Artisan, and the companion figures to the mounted figures that you saw earlier on. And again, these regularly feature in our games on both sides. And then coming back up the rear of the final 4th Brigade, we've got the artillery park, and something I've neglected really. I didn't quite realise how little artillery I got until we played the game, and then I'll think, oh, I've got no artillery, and then forget and buy some more eventually. Anyway, we've got another 2 guns last year, which are the 2 on the far side that features on the blog not that long ago. 3 main guns are Woodbine design, and then we've got 2 jam jar chuckers, trench catapults if you like, that again from Woodbine design for Gallipoli. And then the gun nearest to us is the Empress Miniatures mountain gun, Indian mountain gun, which if you haven't bought one and you haven't tried to put it together, don't. It's a nightmare. I've ended up with about 47 spare pieces for it, and it looks something like it, so I've left it at that. But it was an experience, let's put it that way. And then the last 2 units I've got are 2 more Hindu units, one of which I painted up very recently, the one in front, and then another one behind that I did a couple of years ago. And these 2 units are going to form a part of another brigade. Plan is to get, if you've not seen Jazz Age Imperium range, the Empress Miniatures have done a British unit, so I'm going to get a battalion of them to go with these guys, and another unit of Indian troops, probably a Sikh unit or maybe a Gurkha unit, to fill out this brigade and put it into 4 battalions, and that'll give me 16 battalions of troops, which is quite a lot, but you never know when you're done with an army here in Yarkshire Gamer. So there we go, there's the Yarkshire Gamer WW1 Mesopotamia British Empire army collection. I hope you've enjoyed that little run through the various units that are in there. It's something that I've been doing for maybe 10 years plus now, and very much enjoyed here as a yearly Christmas game. Very much missed this year that they've not been out of the box, so we'll see when we've all been jabbed and vaccinated, and whether we do a game before next Christmas. We'll see how we get on. Certainly looking forward to getting gaming going back here. Going to be 2 or 3 months away, I would suggest, minimum, but it'd be great to see dice being rolled in this room again. So thanks for watching, and I'll be back in a few weeks' time with the Turkish troops. Sidi.